Hey, did you hear? Marvel's remaking the Spider-Man movies.
Another reboot?
No, you don't understand.
You're hurting me.
Marvel has the rights back. Oh, they're gonna do it right this time.
Okay. God.
You look different. Yeah, I got a haircut. Looks good. Thanks. Yeah.
From your blade.
So ever since I was a wee child, Spider-Man has been one of my favorite superheroes. Something about having different powers from most superheroes, strange and exciting villains, and the constant joking around with his foes really drew me in. Or maybe just the cartoons were on a lot when I was a kid, I don't know. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. That doesn't really answer my question. When I heard there was a Spider-Man game coming out for PS1, I had to scoop it up. I even played a demo on a PlayStation Underground Jam Pack that really sold me on it. The game was developed by Neversoft and, strangely enough, actually runs off the same engine as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Tony Hawk! Hey, I skated with that guy.
Before I get too into the game itself, I want to take a quick look at the case. It's got really nice simple art, but the colors really pop. I don't know, I'm a huge autistic nerd and I really love box art. What are you gonna do? The inside of the case has an ad for this game on the back of the manual. To see this, I would have had to buy the game. You've already sold me, guys. You can stop hustling me. The first cutscene opens up with Dr. Otto Octavius presenting a new technological wonder he's created. Our hero, Peter Parker, better known as the Amazing Spider-Man, continues to observe Doc Ock's presentation with heavy suspicion when suddenly...
Who dares? Face me, coward! Face a worthy foe! Spider-Man?
But wait! If Spider-Man is up there, then who's that here?
Last time I checked, I was Spider-Man.
Soon enough, the whole city is flooded with toxic gas. Spider-Man is framed, and the whole city, including Venom, is out to get him. We get an opening monologue from Stan Lee.
Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man.
I mean, is not as good as my Stan Lee impression. And now we get a chance to move on to the actual game part of the game. The gameplay is simple and pretty solid. Though moving around can be a little stiff sometimes, it's rarely an inconvenience. Running and swinging from building to building are simple to do and very fun. A very important part of any Spider-Man game is the web swinging, and this game, although nothing mind-blowing, does a pretty decent job. I suppose if I had one complaint regarding the controls, it would be the camera. It leaves a bit to be desired. You have no direct control over it, and instead, most of the time it's dead focused on your back. So the first level, your objective is pretty simple. Get to the bank, where there's a robbery in progress. Just an ordinary day for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Ugh, that... I inhaled a big chunk of cat hair. This is my life. Ah. You spend your time on the rooftops, unable to get to the city streets due to the toxic gas. I feel this is actually a really solid way to cover up the technological limitations of being unable to explore a whole giant city on the PS1.
Police choppers.
I mean, it's a beautiful little baby, I love it, but it's not this, ain't no PlayStation 4. I want to talk about some of my favorite levels. The whole game is pretty excellent, but it's actually decently long, so I won't have time to talk about them all. As I mentioned earlier, the first goal is to stop a bank robbery. Once you get into the bank is one of my favorite early levels. This segment is actually stealth-based, and I love stealth games. You You get to crawl around on the ceiling and drop down on bank robbers, but you need to be sneaky, otherwise the robbers will take out hostages, which is an instant game over. Another very fun level is chasing Venom through the city. Venom has kidnapped Mary Jane and is leading Spidey on a wild goose chase through the rooftops, resulting in some great moments.
Get out of my way, nerd! Watch that first step, Parker. It's a doozy.
Ow, my head!
Where'd Spider-Wuss go? Spider-Wuss! Come out and play!
Tag!
After Spider-Wuss gets a chance to explain how they've both been done a bamboozle.
Who could have wanted to steal Octavius' technology?
Ooh, we know!
Who?
The Submariner.
Submariner? Get serious, will you?
Venom and Spidey team up to hit the records room at the Daily Bugle because I guess the internet wasn't a thing yet.
Are we gonna surf the web?
Or maybe it was?
Surf the web, surf the web.
During this level, you discover that symbiotes have invaded the Daily Bugle and taken the employees hostage. The symbiotes are some of the toughest enemies, and they're pretty resistant to most of your attacks, and your webbing doesn't affect them much at all. But in the basement, you can get magnesium webbing, which causes your webbing to burn, and also fireballs!
Fireballs, yum!
Fire is one of the main weaknesses of symbiotes, so this makes them much easier to take care of. I don't know if the real-world science holds up on this, or if it's just comic book nonsense, but ooh-wee, is it cool. Eventually you learn that the Spider-Man imposter was an illusion by Mysterio, and that he, Carnage, and the symbiotes are being controlled by the mastermind behind the whole thing, the one who stole Dr. Octavius' device at the beginning.
Oh, the symbiote Spider-Man.
Doc Ock?
That's right, Dr. Octavius himself stole his own gadget in an attempt to frame Spider-Man. Joke's on you, Octavius! In the comics, you eventually become Spider-Man when you switch minds with Peter Parker, and then your body dies of cancer with Peter's mind inside. The Spider-Man comics get pretty weird. Sometimes he's a pig. Doc Ock's plan was to release the fog on the city and then unleash Carnage's symbiote offspring. The combination of the two will turn the people into symbiote-controlled beings and give Ock full control over the people of the city and eventually, the world!
Of course!
I've been waiting for a chance to use that. Doc Ock decides to take matters into his own hands, attacking Spidey. Joke about the hentai tentacles here, I guess. After Octavius is taken care of, old Webhead seems to have saved the day, but he still has Carnage to take care of, who seems to be unstoppable.
That's a sonic bubble in the middle of the room. Seeing as how the only two things that symbiotes hate are fire and sonics.
Well, that's, convenient. All jokes aside, this fight with Carnage is actually super cool. You need to grab him and throw him into the bubble to weaken him, before you get the chance to lay that fist to him. With Doc Ock and Carnage defeated, it seems the day is saved, thanks to the amazing Spider-Man!
Whoa! What the... Is that Ock?
Oh my god, this is horrifying, jeez! After the Carnage symbiote separated from Cletus Cassidy, it attached itself to Doc Ock. On top of that, Ock's secret underground base seems to be exploding. There's a good reason for that explosion. You see, I just didn't mention it. Listen, I'm a good reviewer, okay? Just please subscribe, okay? This segment is tough. You don't actually get to fight him. Instead, you need to run away. And if he catches up to you, it's an instant death. Well, actually, he needs to get a bit ahead of you to kill you, but... you know, nobody's perfect. This is the one part of the game where the controls kinda get a little bit frustrating. Spidey will often swing to the wrong wall or sticking to walls when you're trying to run. And there's even a few walls you can get snagged on. As a kid, this level took me ages, probably months before I could beat it. The level is long and super tense. I felt physically tired after recording this footage. Though it's probably because I spent all day chugging cheap coffee and playing video games. Spidey manages to swing to safety just as the building explodes, engulfing Monster Ock in the flames. The symbiote takes the brunt of the blast, with Ock just barely surviving. And that's the game. Ending plays out, the day is saved, all the villains get put in prison, all in the same cell, and some of them still armed with their weapons. Well, whatever, it's funny.
So, Rhino, you got any threes?
Hey! Hey, I got a bingo! Ha ha!
Another thing I really loved as a kid was the alternate costumes. One of my favorite bits is the what if mode. Enter the simple cheat GBHSRSPM, which, strangely enough, I still remembered after at least 10 years of never touching this game. And now some of the events will happen differently. Nothing major, but some entertaining little bits. Ghost Rider will be ghost riding down the building, and the chase with Venom will have some other funny segments.
Welcome to 12-Hour Fitness, where fitness is our specialty. Hey, nice biceps.
Thank you.
J. Jonah Jameson and Scorpion will be playing Marco Polo.
Marco.
Polo!
And of course...
Stop! It tickles!
Don't let your kids what's it?
The game actually wasn't tied to any movie or series, and came out 2 years before the Tobey Maguire movie.
The game was fairly popular and even managed to get itself a sequel, which is, Actually, I have no idea. I never played it.